So today I'm going to give you a tour of what's actually on my iPhone. We're going to go app by app and I'll explain my thinking behind every part of my phone. So let's get started. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ashton and I like to talk about how to use technology and digital tools intentionally on my channel. Over a year ago, I swapped my smartphone for a simple phone, and I actually lived for over a year without a smartphone. Now I'm using an iPhone again with everything I've learned, this time with healthier boundaries and more intentional choices. Okay, so let's talk about some ways that I am trying to keep my phone usage intentional now. So if you've watched my videos in the past, you know that using a simple phone allowed me to find so much extra time in my life that I was able to use for creativity. It's been amazing what I've been able to do over the past year, both personally and professionally. Just with the time saved that I used to spend scrolling on my phone, I can now focus on other activities. And so going back to an iPhone again, I want to make sure that I'm still being just as intentional and that my phone usage is supporting my goals and not getting in the way of them. So there's a few ways that I'm trying to do that. Number one, keeping my phone background pretty simple. So you'll notice on my phone I have a black background that says be intentional. I recommend using a black background, solid color background, something simple, or something that will remind you to be purposeful with your phone use. And so I do have a set of 3 backgrounds that I created for you. They're free to download on my website and I'll link them below if you want to grab those. But definitely set your background to something simple so that when you open up your phone, you're not immediately distracted. The second thing that I'm doing, you'll see on my home screen of my phone, is that I have my screen time. Now, I've actually made the widget pretty large for this. It takes up like half the screen. By the way, I'm using an iPhone 8, so the screen space is a little bit smaller and my screen time actually takes up a big portion of the screen, and that's intentional for me. I experimented with taking it off, and then I noticed that when I don't have that screen time visually there for me, it's really easy for me to think that I've only spent a few minutes on my phone when in reality it's been, today for example, an hour. Let's go into my screen time, shall we, and see what have I been spending my time on. So the top used app is Blue Letter Bible, so that's a Bible reading app. So I spent 30 minutes in there. That's totally fine with me. That's one of the apps that I want to use intentionally, and I'm okay with spending time there. And then music, and then podcasts. I only spent a few minutes in podcasts. So that's kind of the majority of how I've spent my time. Let's look at yesterday, shall we? I can't believe I'm sharing my screen time, but I'm kind of just curious. So yesterday, only 36 minutes. Really happy with that. Again, Bible app. She Reads Truth is another Bible website, and then messages. So I'm pretty happy with that. To me, that kind of represents my priorities of reading the Bible and then messages, like connecting with friends and family. So that to me tells me yesterday I was using my screen time pretty well. Let's look at Sunday, an hour. Okay, so I actually didn't use my phone a whole lot, just messages. And then I was playing around with the Adobe Capture app, so that was kind of fun, and that took about 37 minutes. So yeah, my screen time is not too bad. Keeping the screen time on my home screen has been really helpful because I'm constantly reminded of it throughout the day, so there's no way for me to kind of forget how much time I'm actually spending on my phone, so I highly recommend doing this. The third thing that I'm doing is limiting myself to just 8 apps on the home screen of my phone, not including my phone and messages, which are the only apps that I have at the dock at the bottom. I don't want multiple pages of apps, so I like this number of 8. It seems to be working pretty good. I don't want to be swiping through multiple pages. Now you'll notice that there are some apps over in my app library that are not on my home screen. I'll explain why that is. So let's start going in app by app. The first app being music. I explained music is one of my reasons why I actually switched back to a smartphone. So constantly listening to music, and this enables me to connect to my Bluetooth speaker and my car stereo. So that's been great. Voxer is a messaging app that I'm mostly using for work To be honest, I don't completely have to have this on my phone. I could absolutely use this on my laptop as well. And so there might come a time where if I feel like I'm spending too much time in it, I move it to my laptop only. But right now, I feel like it's at a good balance and I'm not spending too much time in it. And again, I can check that through my screen time to see how much time I'm spending there. Calendar, this has just been nice because I use iCal on my computer religiously. So it's nice to be able to actually just check my calendar. I really don't like put things into it from my phone or move things around, but it's been nice to be able to quickly reference like what's coming up for the next day. But again, that's something that I don't really need on my phone, and I could just move it to my laptop again if I want to. The next one is labeled Hebrews. That is actually just a bookmark to a website for a Bible study that I'm doing. And so both that app and then the BLB app, that's the Blue Letter Bible app. Those are two things on my home screen that are just for my daily Bible reading. And so the way I kind of think of the apps on the home screen is like, these are the apps that I'm allowed to play with, I'm allowed to spend time in. And as long as my screen time isn't too high. Then we have photos. Again, this was one of the reasons I wanted to try using my smartphone again, was the high quality photos and ability to share my photos with other people. So I feel like the Photos app is key, as well as having the camera app on the home screen. That's actually something I've never done, but because it's my priorities, I'm just kind of experimenting with having that app right there on the home screen. And then the last app that I'll talk about is the Adobe Capture app. And so as a graphic designer, I use the Adobe suite of products all the time, mostly Adobe Illustrator and sometimes Adobe Photoshop. And so the Adobe Capture app is a really fun tool. It might be fun whether you're a designer or not to download it and just play with it, because you can actually scan items, like you can scan photos, items from your sketchbook, drawings, whatever it may be, and you can actually pull color palettes from your art or from your world. And it's a really neat way to pull color palettes and shapes that you could then use in your digital artwork. So I had fun playing with this on Sunday, but you know what? I'm actually going to go ahead and delete it right now because I feel like I spent a lot of time in it scanning some things. And so now if I'm going to use those elements in my artwork, all of that design work is going to have to happen on my desktop computer because that's the only real way that I do my work. So I'm going to delete it for now. And I think that if I want to use that app again, I don't really need it to be on my home screen reminding me to use it. If I decide I need to use it as a tool, I will re-download it from the App Store. It only takes a moment. So I'll just download it again, use it, and then probably delete it again. I don't feel like it's one of those apps that I need to keep on my phone all the time. Swiping over to my app library, there are a few apps that I think I need to go into the settings. So in my last video, there were some very helpful comments letting me know that you actually can disable the Safari app, which was super helpful. So you go to settings, screen time, content and privacy restrictions, allowed apps, and then you turn off Safari. I turned off Safari and I turned off Wallet because, Wallet is something that I've used occasionally, but if I need to turn it back on, I definitely can. And for now, I'm actually going to turn off the Health app because you know what? It's been a long time since I used that app and I don't really need to be tracking my steps or want to be tracking my steps right now. So I'm just going to turn it off so it's out of my library. I think you can actually turn off the App Store as well, but I have found myself using the App Store, like I said a moment ago, to download an app that I might use for a few minutes and then delete it. So I do find myself using that. Some of the other apps that I have over here that are not on my home screen are the calculator. I also have an app called Print to Size. And so this is a really cool app because if you want to print photos from your phone, you can actually just open up this document. It allows you to select different sizes of paper. I just have it set up with US letter. And so then I can add photos from my camera roll. Then I can send this US letter size document to my printer. So this has been really fun to allow me to actually print out photos from my phone really quickly and use a full sheet of paper without wasting any paper. So that's been nice. It's a really good functional utility kind of app. I think the only thing I didn't talk about is podcasts. So I do have podcasts in my app library. I have gone back and forth with the podcast app. I've deleted it at times, re-downloaded it at times, but one thing is for sure, it is not going on my home screen because, again, I just don't need the reminder that it is there. I would say probably like once or twice a week I listen to a podcast. So I don't listen to every podcast that I'm subscribed to. I'm subscribed to about 4 of them. And I find that just listening to music like in the morning or when I'm getting ready is a lot less distracting and a lot better for my mental space to kind of get back in that mindset I was when I was using a flip phone. So those times like waking up in the morning or when you're just cleaning or things like that, occasionally it is nice to have the luxury to listen to a podcast, but overall I try to just gravitate towards listening to music because it's less distracting and it's just as like interesting. It fills the space. But I think sometimes with podcasts, it's like information overload. And so while I do really enjoy them, I don't need to be listening to them every single day. So that's it for what is on my iPhone currently, my iPhone setup. This is definitely an ongoing process where I'm going to be evaluating my screen time to see if I'm spending too much time on my phone on a certain app and kind of delete and add apps as I need to. I just want to make sure that my phone usage is contributing to my goals and priorities and not distracting from them. So I hope you enjoyed the video and gathered some ideas for how to use your own smartphone more intentionally. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again in the next one.